Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about Ultimate General American Revolution, which has very recently come out in early access. Not on Steam, but on their website you can download it, you download the launcher, and you can play it. It is currently very expensive, and it has a ton of issues that, from my perspective, make it a fairly broken game in a lot of ways. But let's look at how the game runs by default. One of the problems I'm actually encountering with the game is like whenever I start or close the game, my settings are basically kind of reset. Like the game will take into account the settings I had, but it will not save like the sound settings. So I have to actually go into the options menu, set this again every time I start a game. That is an issue, and it is, relatively speaking, a minor issue. Now let's talk about the game. So imagine Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail. Like these developers, they've made several games. The ones that I think are most relevant are Ultimate General Gettysburg, Civil War, and Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail. Now, is this game really a successor to Civil War? Well, not really. It's more so a successor to Age of Sail. Specifically, it is using the same kind of gameplay mechanics or battle mechanics that Age of Sail did have, but they're doing this on a much larger scale. So the land battles are of a significantly larger scale than anything in Ultimate Admiral had. And there are performance issues, though it is a very early version. Now, here's the thing. I understand it's early access. It's going to have issues. It's going to have bugs. It's going to have problems. But there are things that I do not consider acceptable even in an early access version. Especially not in an early access version that's $50 to be able to even play the game. That is where I kind of draw the line where things are broke. Like when you're charging people that kind of price, which is the price of a AAA game, right? When you're charging people that kind of price for an early access, you're going to get quite a bit of a negative sentiment if the game isn't working. And for myself, for quite a few other people, there are certainly some significant issues. Performance in the series has never necessarily been that great. I'm not sure what engine they're using over here for this game, but like when it comes to like a large scale battle, like obviously the performance can leave something to be desired. Understandable, for an indie developer, though I kind of think that in a day and age where you have a series like Ultimate Battle Simulator 2 with millions of people, that not being able to even render a couple of thousands is getting a bit on the ridiculous side, to be honest. And this applies to both Total War and Ultimate General American Revolution. It also applies to Age of Sail, because Age of Sail also had its performance issues. So right here with this battle certainly is a large-scale battle, is a very large-scale battle, but you're going to encounter quite a few of these during the campaign from pretty early on. So the way the performance is right now is not great. Now, one problem I want to highlight, like I'm getting sound issues, but I'm also getting control issues. So here's one of the things. The way you're supposed to be able to control your units, and the way you can control your units, is that you look at a unit, you select it, and yeah, you can right click to move it in kind of like an area and rotate it. But one of the things you can do is drag these arrows so you can march them in whatever position you want, or however you want, and that is important. One of the issues I'm encountering is getting that selection to work properly is proving finicky at best. And in general, I am seeing a problem with controlling units, or selection. I would say it's more so selection of things as opposed to like actual unit control. So that is an issue from my perspective. Otherwise, I would say like I like the battles, I like the concept of the campaign. If I could play it, I'm going to get into a moment of why that doesn't work for me. But there are certainly a lot of bugs. And again, this game costs $50 to play, or you can pay $80 or even more in order to be able to play this particular title. Or I think it's actually 80 euros, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but either way, the general edition is certainly expensive. I do feel to some extent that I can't, that price is not justifiable. For a game like this, like, don't get me wrong, I've been waiting for this game for a long time. I'm quite interested in enjoying it, like, once they patch it and fix some of the issues I've encountered, sure. but that price is that is an absurd price, to be quite honest with you. Like, at the moment, it is not a justifiable price point in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not quite sure what they're gonna do to justify it or how they're thinking about it. It kind of feels like they're, trying to nickel and dime people. But okay, like, outside of poor performance in battles, they handle mostly well, though I think one of the issues I would comment about it, like, one of the things that's kind of lacking is, like, being able to have control over a large formation, because you only have control over, like, the small units. Sure, you can do a lot of things, but, like, it's going to be a problem when you're dealing with mass cavalry and they're just going to annihilate your line infantry one at a time. Though I'm not quite sure where square formation was used first time. Like, obviously it was used in the French Revolutionary Wars. I'm not quite sure if it was used during the American Revolution. Not entirely certain about that. And that is obviously a critical point of discussion. By the way, the Battle of Camden over here is kind of shaping out the same way it did historically, where the American left, as it were, more or less collapsed. So in this case, it's my center, parts of my center, and the American right was able to win through for a while until they got overwhelmed by British reinforcements from other sides. Though in this case, I'm doing significantly better than Americans did in the historical battle. Let's just say Gates didn't deploy his army in the best possible way. Though, to be fair, I think it's the Marylanders right now that are it's basically like the militia are getting routed, and the Marylanders are also probably under a significant amount of pressure at this point. Though over here, no, actually, the Marylanders are winning the battle for me, so that is one thing. Now, that aside, let me go to a campaign, and I want to point this out. The issue I'm about to show has happened in every campaign I've tried to play. It's not something that's happened in just one campaign. It's happened in every campaign that I've tried to play. And I've tried starting a campaign multiple times over. It has not worked to fix it. I've tried reinstalling the game. I've tried installing it to another hard drive. I've tried to use compatibility settings, all that. It is an issue with the game. And I'm not the only one that's getting it. Quite a few people are getting this problem. So let me show what it is about. Once my save is gonna load up. Okay, so this is my campaign. I have an army here. Now, I was kind of wondering why I wasn't getting battles, because that's bugged for me. So what's supposed to happen here is, like, as an army moves to a certain location. Actually, let's as an army is moving to a certain location, what's supposed to happen is a battle scenario is supposed to happen. Like, you're supposed to get a battle scenario to start taking place. That is not happening. It works with naval battles, but, like, over here, all I'm getting are like basically the auto resolve, because the way the auto resolve works in this situation is, like, you get these units to engage on the campaign map. Obviously is different than they would otherwise, but yeah, it's not great when you basically are forced to auto-resolve every single battle in a game like this. It's not going to lead to a great campaign experience. That's all I can say. And regardless of what I do, regardless of what choices I make on all that, I am just not able to get battles to play out right now in a campaign. It doesn't matter if it's a new campaign or a campaign I already started. Doesn't matter what I do. Like, let me try and actually attack Boston directly. Now, that's a suicide mission at this point. I don't have the troops. They outnumber me 3-1 easily. So if I attack Boston, I'm going to be obliterated. But the point is, I'm not able, like, I've tried attacking forts, I've tried attacking cities, I've tried field battles. I cannot get the battle to run at all in the game right now. So for instance, if we go for Boston, right, and this will trigger the enemy to come out. As you can see, like, it is not happening. Now, it's just not triggering. Like, it can be joining an army, it can be outside of that. Basically, the problem is this, it's like, the game is basically unplayable in this state. Then there's, you know, crashes or issues with the game not starting, other problems as well. So my conclusion in all of this, the game is fairly broken, fairly buggy, and very overpriced at the moment. And I am extremely disappointed to have to say that, because I was very much looking forward to this game coming out for many years right now. Like I've played every single game in this series and Age of Sails since they came out. I've played them in early access. Well, I played Ultimate General Civil War and Age of Sail in early access. Can't quite remember how it was with Gettysburg, but I've been playing since Gettysburg, suffice to say. And yeah, this is a huge turnout for me. It's a major disappointment. I think like right now, the way that they've handled this entire situation is just not really that great. What they've decided to do. Kosine here, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.